Next question is, if I'm trying to, so I'm going to say the thing, but I feel like there's a better way to ask it, right? So if I record this, whatever instrument, how much thought needs to be going into how do I pull this off in a live setting versus just backing track it? Like, okay, so I guess the question really is like, what's the balance of thinking about how to pull this off versus live tracking? Like, what's your opinion, I guess,
Uh,
Josh?
my opinion is probably
Because
not.
this is a kind of an opinion thing.
I feel like most people are either like, I want the shit to sound the same, so we're going to backtrack it, or they're like, I want the shit to sound the same, so we're only going to go to the studio like we're a live band. And I am in both of those camps and neither of those camps at the same time. I think one of the best examples of this is whenever you look at someone like, I mean, I've talked about him before, but like Medium Build,
Mm-hmm.
he doesn't make music so it's replicated live. And then whenever he plays live, man, I just realized they really gave us the landlord special on this wall. Sorry, sorry. Um, so whenever he does play live, like he plays with the band, and like the songs come out different, and that's part of the experience. Like I think there's kind of like this lost art of like being able to go see a band. Like back in the day, records sounded like the bands that you would go and
Mm-hmm.
see live, right?
It's because
But
generally they
whenever
were
you would,
tracking all at the same time
yeah,
in a room together. So all they were doing was
yeah,
doing their live show in the studio.
yeah, but like if you go see that band live, like the songs sound different because they're improvising, they're playing things differently, they're singing things differently. Dude, I forget what song it is by Nirvana, but like I remember uh Sam was telling me, he's like, dude, every single video of them playing this song live, it's in a different key.
And he sings them all differently too. Like the
Yeah, and he
phrasings are
sings them
slightly
all differently.
different. And yeah,
And that is like what gets me so excited about seeing an artist live is whenever it
mm-hmm.
doesn't sound like a record. The only time I want it to sound like a
Yeah.
record is if it's like something truly profound, like Animals as Leaders, you know,
Or
like
like
they sounded
Polyphia
whenever I
or
saw them,
John.
yeah, like
Yeah.
whenever I saw them live, they sounded like the record, which is crazy. But
Yeah,
I
that's
think
insane.
I don't know, I think that there's kind of like this lost art of like being a great artist in the studio and then being a better artist live. You know, I think that there's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people who either want it to be exactly the same or they're like limiting themselves in the studio so it sounds the same. And I don't know. I think creatively, like as an artist in this day and age, like it just doesn't matter, dude. You know, just like do
I
whatever feels best.
So my opinion, and this is very much just like my opinion. One, I think it's a genre specific thing. I think in like if in like heavier music, um, I look to bands like Bring Me the Horizon and Architects as like the standard, basically of like um, Architects does a really great job of the bass player and the both the guitar players have synths, and so they actually play the parts, but they don't play every single part. They also play a lot of the guitar parts. So basically, the tracks are just there to facilitate the parts that they don't have enough people on stage to play. So I think that's one really cool way to do it. Then you have Bring Me the Horizon, who does like very very backtrack heavy, but also very live heavy stuff. So it just sounds like a big wall of mega sound. But what they do in their live shows is they do change ups in some of their songs. Like you said, they don't perform the songs exactly the same. They'll do like medleys of some songs, or they'll like piece together songs, or the way they transition in between songs are really cool. So they kind of use that as their like difference maker. Kind of where I
Yeah.
sit on it, I think in general is like make the song how you want to make it for the studio. And then after it's done in the studio, figure out how does this need to happen live.
Yeah,
So
and
then
then
it's
there's
like,
also that
does
whole thing where like a lot of songs just don't go as good live as you wish they did, and like now you have a cool opportunity to figure out how to make it work. You know?
sure, sure. Yeah. And I think, yeah, that's very cool. That's a very cool thing because you have people like, I like to use Owl City actually as a very good example of this. Owl City on record versus Owl City live are very different, right? Owl City on record is very much just like he's a producer, it's a pop singer, right? But live, he has a drummer and a guitar player, and he does a lot of live looping and stuff for a lot of his songs. And he'll like run, he has like stations across the stage, and he'll like run around and play stuff and like have different like glockenspiels and crap all over the stage. It's super
Yeah,
cool.
that
And
kind of
like I
stuff is
feel like
cool.
that it's a very performative version of the song, basically. It's still the same song, still him singing, there's some backing track stuff there, but it's a very performative version of the songs.
Did you ever hear Mac Miller's? I think it's called Live from Space. Is that what it is? It's his live
Uh,
album. Yeah, it's called Live from
yeah,
Space. That
yeah,
is nuts, dude. Those songs sound so cool with a full band, and he's like
yeah.
screaming the lyrics and like
So
I don't
he is a
know,
very
like
good example of how I think hip hop. I have some opinions on that, but like a lot of people that I know think that how Mac Miller did the Live in Space record is how all hip hop live stuff should be done.
oh, it goes crazy, dude.
Yeah,
Kendrick
it's
with a full
crazy.
band is nuts. It's nuts, and like
Yeah,
I mean, what it comes down to is like a lot of these hip hop artists don't come up with that feeling of playing in a band. So I think it doesn't
yeah.
really cross their mind, you
They've never
know?
done it before.
Yeah, dude, and it's a ton of work. Like you need a
Yeah,
music director, you need to make sure all the songs are translating right, you need music made, you need all kinds of stuff
way
made,
more
plus
rehearsals.
rehearsals, dude,
Yeah,
like hours and hours of rehearsals and like that stuff costs a lot of money.
yeah,
Like I think that that's another thing is like when people are like, "Oh, they're just singing over the tracks." It's like I don't care how artists perform. However they perform is just a representation of their art. But like whenever people are like, "Oh, they need to take a band out." It's like, "Dude, you don't know what their schedule's like.
yeah,
If like logistically it could even make sense cuz people don't realize how much hard work goes into like making a band work whenever the music wasn't written for a band, you
yeah.
know?
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think the guys that have that opinion is their opinion is basically like either a hip hop artist should go out with just like him and the DJ and put on a dope show, or try to go as big as they can and do the full band thing if possible.
Well,
That's their opinion.
I think what it really is all those people talking about it don't actually like hip hop, and they're just finding another thing to complain about with it. You know, I don't care
Sure.
if an artist is even backtracking their vocal. Like I don't care about
No,
those
that's pretty
things.
normal.
You know, and like, well, I'm talking about whenever they have it, like it's literally just like the master playing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. I haven't heard
But
that
it's like
in a long time, actually.
I haven't been to a show like that because it's really not my cup of tea, and I'm not going to pay to go see that. But if that's what artists want to do because it works for them, they're more than welcome to.
For sure.
You know?
All right. So on the thing of live, um, if I record a track, but I'm not crazy about the thought of performing it live, should I even bother recording it?
Wait, can you repeat the question?
So if I have a song that I've written, but like I know that it's like I don't want to perform this live. Do you think it's even worth recording? This is kind of a philosophical question, I guess. It's like, is a song worth recording if you think
Yeah,
it's not worth performing live?
dude, my favorite, like, it never fails to like. I'm that dude that always ends up loving the one song off the album that doesn't make it on the live set because it just doesn't
The B
translate
side.
live. And I think that that's also like a broader thing, right? Like, so we kind of live in a time where it's like, oh, you have to write music that's going to pop off on TikTok. And then you look at TikTok and like, what songs pop off on TikTok? And they're like the type of songs that are singles. So then all you're doing is you're only writing songs that sound like singles. And then you're going to like drop a full album that's just all singles. And that's stupid. You know, I think that the
Yeah.
best artists are the artists that sit down and they put songs on albums that don't necessarily have the potential to be a hit because that's going to connect with somebody in a way that the other songs won't. And I think we need more album tracks. And so,
I
yes,
agree.
the answer is
It's
yes. You
something.
should.
It's something that
Okay,
I
here's
have.
a
Go
two-step
ahead.
process, right? Okay, you ask yourself, does this fuck? And if the answer is yes, then you record it. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, there it is. There it
Yeah.
is. There's Josh's two-step process on
Yeah.
how to make good songs.
I think we get. Well, I think this is actually a very. So I think this is a very good question of like
Who
the
asked
time
this
that we're
question?
in. I didn't say. It's just on his
Uh,
list of questions that he compiled for me. But I think it's a good question to think about based on like the time that we're in, right? Because like you said, we're in such a singles driven thing, but like a song that you're like, I'm probably not gonna perform this ever or whatever like that probably isn't a single anyway, right? So then it's the thought of, well, is it even worth putting out? And I've been in such an, I don't know why recently, I've been in like album mode. I've been loving just like full albums again so much lately. And I've been loving B-sides and like interludes and like weird stuff, you know? And I don't know. I think the having the B-sides and the weird songs and all that kind of stuff is good. It's a reason to do things like EPs and albums is to have those kinds of songs on them. Creating a song and not worrying about performing it live, sure, don't worry about performing it live. But if it's like, oh, I like this song, oh, I'm really stoked on this song, just record it. I think it, to me, I agree. It's that simple. It's does this fuck, yes or no? If yes, then record.